Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Blue Sunday. My name's Bangkok Joe, obviously in Bangkok. Joining me in sunny Melbourne is Big Vincenz, a former president of the Carltonians and life member of the Carlton Football Club, and Sebba. Welcome, fellas. How are you, boys?
I'm well.
G'day, Joe.
I'm well.
Before we go, yeah, we're all good. Before we go on, a big apology. Rocco set the timer at the wrong time, so some people about 14 minutes ago said, "Where are you?" So, but we're here now, so that's all that matters. And yeah, I think it should be a good show tonight. We've got something a little bit different, but anyway, we'll go for it. Before we go on, let's just get some details out the way. As you know, we come to you live on YouTube at The Jumper Punch, and you can find us on Facebook at Blue Sunday. What's going on here? Sorry, I went to the end. I just got to mention our sponsors. So as you all know, the Jumper Punch is proudly brought to you by the Sporting Globe at Northland. And guys, there's a big end of season function, but we'll mention that later on, the big live show. And also proudly sponsored by my company, Retired Working For You Tours. Here we can do everything in Thailand. Don't forget to, whoops, that's the wrong one. Like, share, and subscribe. Guys, we have our special guest out the back. He's back from the USA, so I'm sure he's got something interesting to say. Mr. David Rhys Jones. Welcome, David. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, had to get over there and help me mate Donald Trump and guide those missiles into Iran's bloody nuclear facilities. And, and I'm back here to try and guide Carlton to something, but I think it's an easier job over there than it is here. But
David, does he miss targets like our forwards do, or
he knows spot on? No, spot on. They don't miss. They do not miss. They hit the target. Obliterate them. That's what they do.
Obliterated.
That's the word I kept hearing over there. No,
it didn't take long for you to get your head on television again, Rhys.
Yeah. One game.
Yeah, it must have been the suntan. I got a bit of it was 40 degrees every day in Arizona over there. It was 46 a day I left. So
shit.
Wow.
Yeah, nice and warm, but I had a good break. So I was in the air when North toppled us. So thank Christ for that. I didn't have to watch that. But
that garbage.
And my phone didn't stop when Port Adelaide gave us a spanking. So, and then the worst thing was, it was between 2 and 4 o'clock over there when the phone was buzzing its head off. But 2 or 4 a.m. it was over there when that was happening. So and managed to get to the G on Friday night, and it wasn't good. It just wasn't. It was not good. It was. Look, I mean, we had a few kids out there, and we made some mistakes, and they'll learn by that. But we just don't play by instinct, and Collingwood are a very good team, and they had kids in. They had some kids in there. They just come in and do a job, though. They know what their role is and what they're supposed to do, and they get the job done, and they got some good experienced players. We seem a little bit void of leadership out on the ground at the moment, and they're just a rabble, an absolute rabble at the moment.
Sandra says you didn't look happy when they had the cameras on your Rhys on the other night.
Well, they should have got me before the game then. I was happy then.
I'm sure you were.
What do I have to be happy about? I think it was in the last quarter, wasn't it? They got the cameras on me. What do I have to be happy about?
The last quarter. And you'd given up the drink, Rhys, so you couldn't even hit the bottle.
No, that's right. I was in the president's function, and I'll tell you what though, this team could drive me back to drink though. But every chance.
Please don't, David. I'm sure your wife wouldn't want it anyway. Hey, let's go through the scores. Vince, let's get going, and then I'm sure people out there want to listen to what David has to say and yourself. So let's just go for it, Vince.
Sure thing. Yes, well, as we can see there, very sad-looking scoreboard, isn't it? Carlton 8-11. Yet another game where we only kick 8 goals. 8 goals, 11-59 to Collingwood, 17-13, 115. We sort of came out of the blocks with reasonable spirit, I guess. I suppose you'd have to say the first quarter was our best, even though we still ended up getting outscored by a goal by quarter time, but 4-3 to 3-3 at quarter time. But then Collingwood really showed us who was boss in those middle 2 quarters. They kicked 4 goals to 1 in the second, and then 8 goals to 2 put it beyond doubt. They went from a 1-goal lead at quarter time to a 4-goal lead at half time to a 10-goal lead at 3/4 time. And yet again, the opposition, gave us a chance to make things half respectable because they literally put the cue in the rack at 3/4 time, didn't they, Collingwood? Only kicking a goal right at the end, I think, with a minute to go, 17-13. And we only managed to still kick only 2 goals. 2 goals, 2, when we really were given full reign to do whatever we wanted in that last quarter, just about. So it was an embarrassing performance. It was just listless, insipid. I think it was even worse than the Port Adelaide game after quarter time. It was just terrible to watch. And to put up a performance like that against a traditional rival, what does that say about our team? What are you doing, Joe? I'll just quickly go through the goal kickers for Carlton.
Yeah.
Zach Williams kicked 3. He got subbed off at 3/4 time. He kicked 3 goals. Motlop kicked 2. Singles to Fantasia, McGovern, and Moyer. For Collingwood, Jamie Elliott kicked another 4 goals. McStay kicked 4 as well. Myercheck and Memory kicked 2 each. And then they had about 5 single goal kickers, which I won't bother going through. Disposal-wise, Carlton, Chera with 28, Cripps with 25, Hollands with 24, Doherty 22, and Akers and Cowan with 20 each. They're the only players who had 20 possessions or more. And for Collingwood, well, Nick Dacos got 36 possessions. I'd be interested to hear what Rhys thought of the decision to drop Alex Chincotta, because he was about the only player on our list that was, had any half a chance of keeping up with him, and they dropped him. But yeah, Nick Dacos got 36. His brother Josh got 27. Mitchell, he's been out for something like 600 days, and Tom Mitchell came back and had a birthday out there. 26 possessions. Crisp 24, Pendlebury 22, Maynard 21, and Cameron and Sullivan both had 20 each. So they're the main possession winners, goal kickers, and I think we can get on with the stats if you want, Joe.
I've had a meltdown on my computer, so I haven't been able to put it up. They didn't save. So anyway, we got beaten in everything. Just go through some of the main ones, Vince.
Just some of the main ones. Collingwood had 390 possessions to our 350. And the main difference there was in kicks, where they had 238 to our 202. Disposal efficiency, yet again, we got done there, 72 to 74. Free kicks, we had 11. They had 14. I don't think that really had much of a part to play. Contested possession, they beat us. And that's something we pride ourselves on, 135 to 117. Marks, 111 to Collingwood to 89. But most importantly, 22 contested marks to only 7. They absolutely murdered us in the air. They were taking marks all over the ground, especially contested marks. The other area that they had the better of us was in tackles inside 50 and tackles overall. For a side that had the majority of the ball, they had 40 more possessions, and yet they laid 60 tackles to our 46, including 13 tackles inside 50. And guess how many we had, Rhys?
Inside 50?
2 tackles inside 50. 13 to 2. And anyway, inside 50s, they had 60 to 49. and they converted 50% of those into scoring shots. So they had 30 scoring shots from their 60 inside 50s. We only had a 39% efficiency rate, only getting 19 scoring shots from 49 entries. So, and shooting accuracy as well. We kicked 8 goals, 11. That's only a 42% strike rate with shooting accuracy. They had 57%, kicking 17, 13. So they're the main reasons why Collingwood won the game. And, we normally pride ourselves on contested possession. I think we won the clearances, but the quality of clearance and the quality of entry into our forward 50 was just terrible. And they had pinpoint passes that really hit the target.
So I'm just responding to a couple of people. They're saying I don't get a word in, so just to give them a wave. So I'll just and my vodka. So there you go.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm finished. Go for it, Joe.
That's okay. So this week we're going to do something a little bit different because every week we sit here and we talk about deplorable skills. Voss can't coach. What else? Charlie needs to be dropped. Play the kids. Then when we play the kids, they don't play the kids. So I have just been made president of the board, and I have sacked Greg Williams, and I have made David Rhys Jones our director of football. Right? So I want to hear, and Sebba, you can be his assistant. Vince and I will chime in.
Oh, done.
David, I want to hear what you're going to do.
Hang on. Before you start, Joe.
Did you get let me finish?
No, I'm going to let you finish, but I just want to know whether Rhys has given you his bank account details so he can get paid the same amount of money as what Greg Williams does.
I was going to ask that too. I want the same pay too. Gee.
I told him before the show, packet of chips and a Mars bar.
Packet of chips and a Mars.
Can I have half of what?
Mars bar. Sebby, you get a can of Diet Coke. There you go.
Pepsi Max. Give me a Pepsi Max and I'll be happy.
All right. Okay. So, David,
Max.
what are you going to do? You're taking over Monday, right? You're walking in. What are you going to do? Short term, medium term, long term. So you can sack coaches. You can put players up for trade. I mean, you've actually played the game. So you know, look, the players look like they're down on confidence, right? So what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to fly off the handle and sack coaches, sack the whole lot. I'd sack the whole board. I mean, put it this way, I'd get a meeting of the the major people around the place, which is the coaches and the players and so forth, and just sit down and say, we need to aim to win a premiership. What do we need to do? And that has to be the aim. That has to be, because we had that aim a year or two ago. We played in a preliminary final and we didn't get there, but we've fallen off the cliff since then. What's happened, and how do we? And it's, to be perfectly honest, it's the guys out there on the field who are not performing to the standard that they have to. And I think we played the best team in the competition on the weekend. And on Friday night, they pulled their pants down. But you need to start thinking, hang on a minute, what do we pull? This season's over and done with. I think I've said this before, and that's why I've been on about playing the kids and getting games into the kids. That's going to cost you in some ways. And we saw that on, there were some bad mistakes made by some of those young blokes, but they're going to learn. I mean, someone said about Billy Wilson, who I didn't see him play the week before, but apparently I'm hearing back from the club that by halfway through the third quarter he was cooked last week against Port Adelaide. And that's going to be hopefully of a huge benefit to that kid, because he'll realise, geez, a game of VFL I can get through that pretty easy, but I only got through 2.5 quarters of an AFL match. You have to run that more. You have to, cover more distance. You have to do a lot more. So hopefully that kid will put that in the, and realise I need to get fitter. I need to get stronger. I need to get better. And, if he's got that in the back of his mind and wants to make it, then, and that's how they've all got to think about it. And you've got to, I mean, I want to see Ben Camperoli playing. I want to see Harry Lemmy playing. I've been saying that for a while too, but I want these kids to, we need to start putting some games into these kids because they're not going to get much better playing VFL. Give them a taste of it, and rotate players through. I mean, we've had a few through this year, but I just think we haven't had the right ones through. And Ben Camperella was going to be. I mean, Jagger Smith, obviously, he's not going to be part of it this year, but the next best one recruit was Ben Camperelli, and he hasn't played a game yet, which I can't understand. But his brother's played a couple of games off pre-season. Get them in there, and give them an opportunity and give them a taste of it, so they can be like Billy Wilson and have a taste of it and say, well, shit, I'm not up to it at the moment. I can understand why they're not playing me. Maybe that is the case, but we need to see what they've got too. We need to see what the kids coming in, they can add some real excitement. We've seen it with other clubs. The kids coming in and adding real excitement. But from a leadership point of view, I'll tell you one other thing. If I was a football director, coming into the end of this season, I was talking to someone about it on the weekend, after the game, obviously. But I would say that there is only one player who would be safe at the Carlton Football Club right now, in my personal opinion, who would be safe and from not getting traded, drafted, whatever, swapped, whatever you can sort of pick up, and that player's Jacob Wiedering. He's the only player on that whole list, I would say, is not expendable, and
they're not on the table at all.
No, he wouldn't be on the table. Every other player. I mean, we're sort of throwing a few things around on the weekend, and I mean, Cripps' name obviously comes up, and I'm going, well, Cripp, a West Australian, swap with Harley Reid. You start thinking about things like that. Gee, that. I mean, you look at what West Coast did with Chris Judd, and they picked up Josh Kennedy. And who was a superstar for him, played in premiership, and sometimes you got to do these things. I don't know whether Cripper wants to go back or whatever, but these are the big bold moves. As a football club, you have to start thinking about and start. Is this going to benefit our club? Harley Reid, could be a generation player. He's got a bit of pace. He's got a bit of strength in that midfield burst. His skills are good. Go after him if he's available and he wants to come back to Melbourne. Go after him and give him the list. Say to West Coast, who do you want? Here's a bloody list.
Very rarely does a whole list like ours with so many superstars or stars stay together for their whole duration of their career. You never really see it. There's always one that gets traded out or two that gets traded out, and I think that definitely needs to happen. You have to break them up. You can't go with what we've got and how they're playing together, because that you can clearly see that they're not connected. What I mean?
We got a cohort of players. This is going back 4 or 5 years, and Zach Williams. There was Sard. There was McGovern. Yeah. I'm trying to think now. We got them all
Martin. We got Jack Martin.
Jack Martin, yeah. They all come across on big
money,
long contracts. Multiple year contracts, big money. Mm-hmm. And to be perfectly honest, tell me one of those who is worth it and is has improved. As Chair is another one. So they're on big money. They're on big money.
And what the funny thing is about that too, David, is that Williams, McGovern, Sard, and Martin, more now with Sard, they've all been through injury crises through their tenure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cherry's had a few injuries as well along the way.
Yeah, and Cherry too,
more consistent. So
Exactly.
But they were brought across, and they were, we were the destination club at the time, and we got the wrong blokes. We got not one of them's got a mean bone in their body.
No.
Not one of those blokes would bruise a grape. So, that's what we got out of those guys. And Jack Martin, he was pretty hard at it, to be honest, but he couldn't get out on the footy field. But
Well, he started for Geelong yesterday or today, so against the bottom team, but still, he did that for us a couple of times. Let's see how consistent he is.
Exactly.
He wasn't the worst player.
When he come back, when he come back was when we made finals, sort of thing, and went through to a preliminary final. So, no, he's a quality footballer and everything, but he's got his his body issues. So, and I hope
the only decent player we picked up was Hewitt. He was. Yep. He didn't come across on big money, did he?
No.
And Nick Newman,
not huge money. No, not huge money. And that's the thing. And then you look at Collingwood. They picked up Darcy Cameron for nothing. They got Brody Myercheck for nothing. They got Tim Membry, for nothing.
Bag of chips.
They got players and slotted them in, and these are players who weren't wanted by St Kilda or the Swans or whoever, and they've got them for they were the steak knives, at the end of the day, and they've turned them into footballers, and because they've got a maybe their better footballers are pretty bloody good, because I went in, and that's what Vince was saying before. I went into the game, I was saying, how can I get a bet on Dacos being best on ground? Because I knew he was going to be the best player on the ground, because King Cotter wasn't there, and because we obviously weren't going to tag him. Boyd didn't come in, so who's going to play on him? And that was,
they had Haynes on him at one stage. I had to shake my head. They had Haynes on him at one stage. I mean, the guy tried his heart out, but I mean, how can he keep up with Dacos when the ball's on the ground? It's just impossible. He's 32, 33 for starters, and they gave him mission impossible. I mean,
well, from some of the centre bouncers, they were lining up fucking Ashton Moyer on him. What are you doing? No. You're going to kill him. You're going to. He got torched every time.
I don't actually mind that.
But not on Nick Dacos.
Someone's got to. Well, someone's got to be on him.
Yeah, I know some. I just don't think he's the right man.
We just let people run around and do their own
thing. Most
thing.
Commentators thought that they might have put Hewitt on him, seeing Chincotta had been dropped. But to me, the obvious tagger wasn't even out there.
Yeah. No, he wouldn't have been able to keep up.
But you're right. I mean, it wasn't hard to see that Nick Dacos was going to be at least one of the 2 or 3 best on the ground. And as it turns out, he was probably the best.
Yeah, he'll pick up the 3 votes, I reckon. And
easily.
He's
protected, though.
Too. Jesus. Oh,
yeah, I was going to say.
That one just before 3/4 time, I kept my lips shut for the whole, most of the game, and I just had to stand up and let rip. That was the worst decision I've ever seen. If it wasn't Nick Dacos, it wouldn't have been a free kick. But no, good luck to him. The umpires love him. Everyone loves him.
So, David, you're going to sit down with the coaches, aren't you? Right now, I love seeing on social media, everyone says, sack Voss, sack Voss, sack Voss, right? This is our history of coaches since 2003. So we've brought in Pagan.
2 of them are premiership coaches. 2 of them are, and 2 of them are 2 of the, all-time great coaches. So
So you had Dennis Pagan, who had a 25% win rate. Then we had Brett Ratton, who had a 50% win rate. Well, we got rid of him because we were going to get Mick Malthouse, who had a 38% win rate. And then he left because we had Brendan Bolton. Well, he had a 21% win rate. Then we got David T with a 42% win rate. And the current coach, Michael Voss, at a 53% rate. So, look, I'm not going to defend Michael Voss, right? Because he's a big boy. He obviously can coach. Whether it's the right style of coaching, I don't know. But I see all these people say, sack the coach, sack the coach. Well, what's your alternative? And they go, oh, we'll get someone better. Well, we've been saying that for 22 years. We'll sack the coach, we'll get someone better. There is obviously a bigger problem than the coach, right?
Well, I think one of them, it's the playing list. The playing list just hasn't been good enough. I mean, that's basically it. And we haven't, I'd love to play against Carlton. I'd love to play against this team. You'd run off without a bruise every bloody week. You wouldn't have a bruise on you. Serious. We haven't got a nasty person in our team. We high five players before the game starts. Or not low five, whatever you call it. We're a nice soft team. We're easy to play against, that's probably one of the sad things about it all. That's what really eats at me. We haven't got. Nick. I love Nick Newman because he has a crack and he lips him. He has a bit of a dig at him. He'll push him after. We get our blokes. We don't stick up for each other. We don't look after each other out in the footy field. We're a soft footy team, and that's why we're where we are at the moment.
Even in the first quarter, sorry, Joe, but even in the first quarter, I think it was Maynard, first or second quarter, Maynard, he absolutely spear tackled two players back to back. And everyone just got up and didn't do anything. Cripps is there like that. They just walks up. Give him something. Show it. You know what? And look, of course you can't do it because you got the kids. But genuinely, I'd get real full biff into. Who cares? Get suspended for 3 weeks. Who cares? Show me something. Show me that you care for the players.
We don't get players reported. None of them get reported. No. How are they going to get reported?
Running into the umpire now.
Yeah, it's our blokes are too nice.
Yeah,
too nice. We need hard blokes in there. I think I brought this up early on the season, and
you did.
Ended up getting a text message from Stephen Silvani out of it, but but it's still the case. Nothing's changed.
I don't think.
What did you make? What did you make of Charlie Curnow giving high fives and low fives or whatever it was?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Before a game,
to Darcy Moore and Jeremy Howe. I mean,
I never shook hands with my opponent before the game, and I thought it was hypocritical. I mean, why shake hands with a bloke or wish him luck or anything? I'm going
about to go to war with him.
I'll shake hands with him and have a beer with him after the game, but I'm not shaking hands with him before the game. And that was my attitude. But, I don't begrudge anyone who did go and shake hands before a game. But you got to have a bit of nastiness in you somewhere. And
what does it say about the mindset? What does it say about what's going on up here in a player's mind if he's preoccupied with going to shake hands with the opposition players or in Charlie Curnow's case, high-fiving them and whatever? I mean, surely they're not prepared for battle. They're not mentally ready in a psychological sense to be out there to win at all costs and to go into battle.
We're not locked in.
That's what I'm saying. And what, I mean, when Michael Voss was chosen as our coach, I thought, fantastic. Hard I love watching Michael Voss play. I love, mean, he should be giving them videos of how he played footy and how hard he was and tough he was. And I'm sure they all watched him and saw him in, his kids growing up. But, I thought that's going to instill a bit of mongrel into this team because that's what I thought we needed a bit of it. But we haven't got any. And to be perfectly honest, Michael Voss, he, if my job was on the line because of these weak pricks, I'd be giving it to him. I would be giving it to him. And the broken tackles and teams just walk through us. We don't tackle. I don't care how big of what's his name, Francis Evans. Jesus Christ, if he gets another game of footy, it's ridiculous. And it just means that our recruiters haven't, we haven't got good good kids in there to play or whatever. But apparently we have. Apparently Ben Camperelli is going to be a good footballer. I don't know about Harry Lemmy. No one will tell me why or why they won't play him.
Billy Wilson got dropped after his first game.
Yeah. And look, to be perfectly honest, I mean, the call on Bins, even though he gets the ball a lot, he turns it over. And our skills as a football team are our foot skills, and they're woeful, absolutely woeful. And, this is their job.
Mm.
This is their full-time job, and it's called football, and they can't kick it. It just blows my mind that and this
skills
must go back to the recruiters as well, because why would you keep picking blokes who can't kick the footy?
I don't know. Just a big shout out to
is it just the recruiters, or is it also
Vince? Just a big shout out to Daniel, who's kindly donated some money. So there you go.
Right.
Go for it, Vince.
Sorry, I was just going to say, is it just the recruiters? Because I've always looked at it like the recruiters are bringing in the raw talent. It's like having an embryo, really.
Yep.
They're 17, 18 years of age, most of the players that they recruit. Now, whose job is it? Is it the recruiters' fault that they might not develop into good exponent of kicking and hand passing skills? I just wonder whether it's more the development coaches at the club that are meant to work on these things with the players and meant to improve their decision-making capability and their execution. I mean, these are the guys that are taking them training session after training session after training session. Yeah. I don't think it was Stephen Sawani's or Nick Austin's fault after they recruited.
A lot of guys, their kicking technique, they pick it up very, very early in their life, and it doesn't change. You have a look at Warwick Kappa. He's probably one of the worst kicking styles of all time, but he that's how he kicked when he was a kid.
And Robert Polkinghorne as well. He had that weird kicking style.
And some have got different kicking styles, but we just don't have those. Raking blokes coming off halfback.
The reason I say that now, I saw a comment there about, oh no, we're not picking kids that can kick properly. Well, don't forget they're used to playing at a level when they're 17 and 18 that are nothing like AFL standard. I mean, it's junior footy. It's one or two rungs down. Now there's a massive step even from VFL to AFL. So surely it's up to our coaching staff and our development coaches to work on these sort of skills with the players, and I point the finger more at them than the actual recruiters of the raw talent.
What I'm saying is you're not going to. It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, you're not going to get a Tony Shaw to kick it more than 40 meters, sort of thing. I mean, that's what you've got. So you work.
But look what Tony Shaw turned into, a premiership captain.
Well, exactly. Norm Smith medalist, but but that's what he had his limitations, but you utilize that, and so I mean, I wouldn't. I remember going back when Hawthorn, when they got that real good team and they got Hodge and they got a heap of left footers, and they all were beautiful kicks of the football. All were beautiful kicks of the football. That made a huge difference.
Yeah.
So it does, and they were as kids. They were good kicks of the footy.
But do you also believe
so? I mean, you can develop and get them, and even blokes who are good kicks of the footy. When you're under pressure, it's a bit different then too. It's a bit different kicking the ball, around the joint, but and we put ourselves under too much pressure because our instincts are gone. And as I said before, we don't look after each other out in the footy field.
No,
it's all about running and getting the next kick instead of putting a block on or going to shepherd or help one of your teammates. We're too busy, running on to get the next one, get it off them, sort of thing. So, we're a bit of a rabble at the moment, and I don't know how we get out of it at the moment. It's a really tough one to get out of. I mean, Charlie Curnow is down there 1 out at the moment in that forward line. He is our only target down there. And, Zach Williams was able to, because he's got footy smarts and that he was able to bob in and kick a few goals and look dangerous down there because he can obviously play the game. But even that, I said to a bloke at quarter time, I said, Williams has started really well, and that spells real danger because he's going to get injured. He always does. He always does.
You're
Every
right.
time he has a good game, he gets injured.
And he did.
Yeah.
And he didn't let you down. He was off at three-quarter time.
Yeah. And we get the same movie all the time. Good first quarter. You say to people,
second quarter, shit third quarter.
I've seen this movie before. It's it's the same movie.
1,000,000 times.
Don't worry about it. The next 3 quarters we'll just pack it in and give up. So
David.
Yep.
Sorry, TDK. What are we doing there? You're the director.
Well,
what are you doing?
You get what you can for him. To be honest, and I don't think anyone would begrudge him. What was he going? $12 million over 7 years. Do
you think St Kilda are having second thoughts?
I hope not. That's where you really got to think. How can we get some value out of this deal? We're going to lose him. You can say we're going to lose him. You got to look on the positive side and say we need to maximise the return we get for him.
Correct.
We put the years into him and everything else, and look, I think he's a victim of what's happening to everyone at the club. Then who's playing at their peak?
None of them.
Our skippers, just going. From 45 votes in a Brownlow 1 year to this, he's gone backwards a million miles. It's
even Waitering's looked out of sorts for the past couple of weeks too.
He has, and there's a bit of pressure on him in the back line, but the whole lot of them. It becomes infectious. It really does, and we were like that a few years ago, and they went to Ed Kernow's place or whatever, and had a powwow, and they need to do something like that. I don't know, put a barrel down at the club on, and say you're not leaving, put a couple there. Say you're not leaving until they're both finished, and get in there, talk things out, have a few beers, and work it out.
Yeah,
Sebba, what are your thoughts?
Oh, you know what? I've completely blanked on this game. I just, you know what it is? It's just I knew what was coming, and you could just see it coming from a mile away. And the players for me now, some of those players, and again, I'm just going to say it, they're a disgrace to the jumper, and they're a disgrace to the monogram. The way that they treat the supporters, especially the supporters, they piss in our faces every time we're told to stick fat, we're told to do this, we're told to do that. How long? How long do we have to wait before it's too late? And again, like people say, yeah, you can sack Voss. Obviously, look, Voss is a part of the problem, but there's bigger issues. There's bigger issues than Voss at the club, right? But some of the players, you can see they're playing to get him sacked. You can see it on the field. They're playing to get him sacked. And what's not to say they're going to get him sacked, and then a new coach comes in and it's all rosy, and then a couple of years down the track, they're going to do the same thing again. Because it's burnt into their mentality. That's you know what I mean? And I think what was our biggest, it was a big gripe with me and Mars. We said it a million times. We didn't in the off season go out and get a premiership player. We should have gone and got Luke Parker. We should have gone and got we needed someone with premiership experience. And a player who's coming out of contract, he may not be the best player. At the end of the year, I'd go and try and get Camden McIntosh from the Tigers.
Well, he's not going to cost you much. Put it this way, Luke Parker wouldn't have cost too much,
No.
and he's going to be invaluable, and as you say, that experience and the knowledge and they can come down and see, you know, what the problems are. What you know, things will stick out. Things will stick out a million miles to them, and know to them, you know, this is why you're not successful. You know, you know, and it's you know, for the footy club. Look, hopefully Graham Wright's having a good look at it all, because he's more a footy person than Cookie is. But Cookie's done a magnificent job off field. But yeah, we need Righty to get in there. We need to get the right people around, you know, and yeah, we need to get some hard people in there though. We need to get some people who I know it's hard now in modern times, but you need people who you just know are gonna and they're going to be there for you. They're going to be there for you. They're going to, you know, back you up. I was saying before the game when I got to Carlton before this episode, but I was talking to you guys and I said, you know, Ian Collins, you know, is our general manager, never came down to the rooms when we won, you know, but every time we got beat, he was in the rooms, and I've never really asked him. I'll have to ask him one day what you know, what his philosophy was on that. But you know, I mean, that was when, you know, you'd have all the backslappers in there, you know, when you had a win, and the joint would be deserted when you got beat. So you know, but Colo was always there when we got beat, always. And whether he's checking things out, seeing who, you know, who was how people were taking a loss or whatever it was, I'm not too sure. I'll have to ask him one day. But yeah, it's just, and Colo was a hard man, you know. And we had Wes Lofts down there. Wes Lofts, I mean, Thursday night, and you know, Wes would walk into the rooms and there'd be blokes ducking for cover because they knew if he was coming their way, they weren't playing on the Saturday. So and Wes had to give the, you know, the news to the players. So, and you had, you know, hard people who expected success, and that was the one thing I really learnt when I got to Carlton was you pulled that jumper on, you were expected to win. You know, and we didn't have that. I was with South Melbourne and Sydney before that, and we'd get cheered off the game if we got, you know, if we got beat by Carlton by, you know, 4 or 5 points. You know, they'd be clapping us off the ground, sort of thing, and I hated losing. I didn't want to lose, and you shouldn't be clapped off when you lose. But the mentality was different. I got to Carlton, you pulled that jumper on, and it didn't matter if you had half your team out injured. You're expected to win.
100%.
You were expected to win, and you went out and bloody did your best to, you know, get the result. But there was high expectations, you know, and you had it yourself. You knew that yourself as a player. You know,
and that's the thing, David. What you just said, high expectations. You back in your day, they demanded excellence. They demanded more. You know what I mean? Winning was good, but it was a premiership or bust. That's what it was, and they don't demand that anymore. The club has gone,
and when things, you know, when things did go a bit sour, or whatever, they'd be looking at ways. How do we get back to and that's a whole club approach. You know, we need to unload players. We need to get players in who are going to take us back there again. So you know, you can't drift too far away from that premiership window, otherwise you're never going to get there. No. You're never going to get there. So you know, we've got some players at the moment who we should be, you know, to be able to build a bloody good, you know, team around. You know, we've struggled getting them all out in the field at the one time, and probably the blokes we have brought in haven't been able to deliver what we sort of thought they might have been able to. But once again, we've brought in the wrong people in. We've brought the wrong people in and paying them big money. So start slashing a few contracts. If blokes want to stay, they can stay, but they won't be getting anywhere near the money, you know. And we go out and start, you know, paying people accordingly, get the players in that we need. And sometimes you've got to be ruthless with your own list about that as well. I mean, at the end of 1985, Carlton got rid of, they got rid of a lot of blokes in, Wow Jones, Marcoux, Sheldon, McConville, all, triple premiership players, and they're all shipped off and, brought in Kernahan, Bradley, Motley, these sort of blokes. So, yep. So, turnover, and you have to be ruthless at times. I mean, it's not, there's the top of the tree in the sport, and you need to be hard and get on with things and move people on and bring in better people who are going to do the job.
I think a lot of supporters are. Sorry, Joe, but I think a lot of supporters are very scared of losing some of these big name players, and they think, if we lose him or if we lose this or that, it's gonna set us back 10 years. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like this. It can work as a benefit. You could get rid of TDK and say a Kerno at the end of the year and bring in whoever, and it could completely revitalize the whole team. You know what I mean?
You have a look at Collingwood. They put Grundy on a big contract, and then they got rid of him to Melbourne and brought in Darcy Cameron. Who was just a ruckman sort of thing. They had Mason Cox there as well.
Mitchell, they brought in.
Yeah, but they were able to get some draft picks and things as well. They were able to manipulate and get some good young people in as well. So you work things to your favour, and as I'm saying at the moment, I mean, normally you'd say there's half a dozen, 6 to 10 who are untouchable.
Yeah.
I in the group of players I see there, I reckon there's only one we really can't afford to lose, and that's I think our back line would be absolutely decimated, and we'd get run over by nearly every team if Jacob Wiedering wasn't in the team and being the general back there and sorting things out, and he'd be the only one I'd say is untouchable anyway.
Agreed.
So Vince, and this is more directed at Vince, who's been on the board, and David too. Do you think our board? David told us before the show that everything at Carlton is humming, except on field. And do you think the directors are all then just slapping themselves on the back, going, "Oh well, because they're not football people, we've done a good job. No one's going to worry about it. The on-field success will come." Do you think they're more concerned about off-field success, Vince, than on-field success?
Well, I think it's pretty evident that the standards that are supposed to be set from board level down, the expectations which are meant to be set from board level down, haven't been set, and they are not reinforced. And the people who are in quite highly paid positions within the administration are never held accountable for it. The only person that ends up being accountable for it every 4 years or every 3 to 4 years on average is the senior coach, and probably out the door walks 2 or 3 of his assistants, and that's about it. Even 4 years ago, a failed football department headed up by Brad Lloyd, he was never made accountable for it. He kept his job. Everyone else lost their job, the coach, the assistants, but he didn't. Now, no one's ever explained that decision. And now, yet again, here we are 4 years later, and a lot of people are still calling for his head. But I just don't feel that the board is hell-bent on winning premierships like boards of the 70s, 80s and 90s used to be. We used to be a club that not only expected to win games, but playing in finals was expected. If we didn't make the finals, heads would roll. And sometimes even coaches lost their job if we didn't even get to a grand final. That's how high the expectations were then. And I just think that since the turn of the century, the last 25 years, those same standards, those same expectations have not been reinforced. They talk about it, but on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis, they just don't do it. And I think they are more concerned with being a good corporate citizen these days, like all of these corporations that are, championing all of these social justice causes and get behind this and get behind that. They're more worried about being a good corporate citizen than they are in being a successful football club. And I noticed that there was an interview, which I'll be talking about later in my segment, during the week with the president. And he started to say, first and foremost, we're a football club and we're out there to win games and win premierships. Well, that's just bullshit. That's just all talk, because they have heard from the rafters people like myself shouting out that this football club does not emphasise enough the importance of winning and the importance of winning flags.
So how do we change it, Vince? Because it's very hard to change the board.
It's the only way you're going to do it. The only way you're going to do it is to have a challenge, a full ticket challenge of the board, and replace it, because this board talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk. And unless that, I've been saying it for, how long have I been saying it for, Joe? Unless it changes at the top, the fish rots from the head. I don't give a damn how successful they are off the field with all of these sponsorships and all the rest of it. And sometimes people are naive as far as membership goes as well, because a lot of those membership numbers are very, very fudged figures. And they incorporate all sorts of things within sponsorships to increase membership as well. So, I don't buy all that rubbish. And I think the majority of football following Carlton members, they want success. They want success on the field. They don't care about the medical imaging centre that's about to start at Icon Park. They don't care about, a sponsorship deal with Great Southern Bank. They don't care about the smoking ceremonies every time we play Sydney Swans up in Sydney. And they don't really give too much of a hoot about all these other social justice programs that we champion all the time. So, frankly,
it's easy to turn around, Vince, and say, look, get rid of the board. But a lot.
You've got to have a viable alternative. You've got to have a viable alternative.
Well, maybe in some positions, and maybe there is, but when you look at it, I think the heat should be on the people who are running the football side of things, because that's.
But they don't put the heat on them.
That's sorry.
The board is allowing
the board should be put. That's what I'm saying.
How many changes of assistant coach have you seen in 4 years, Rhys? How many changes have you seen?
You've had a president who's come in on the back of a bloody previous president's dick pics for a start. So,
well, need I say more? Need I say more?
That's it. That was a great start to the season, but I think we have to be fair dinkum about where we're lacking, and we're lacking on field. We're lacking in a whole football sense, and I think every single area of the football department needs to be looked at, and I don't think there should be one person in there, players included. Well, I did say Jacob Wiedering before, who should feel safe and think that they're going to be there next year. I don't think there should be one person in that whole football department, recruiting, the whole lot. They should, and that's got to come from the board. That has to come from the board. But and it's going to be interesting to see, when Graham Wright does take over the reins, what changes, because there have to be some changes. There has to be changes made, and whether they're made still when Cookie's still in charge or not. In conjunction with Righty, maybe some have to be made before the season ends. Who knows?
Probably be allowed to make those critical changes.
Oh, they have to be. I mean, the whole thing is you can't just hold back and say, well, I'm not starting till October, so I can't, change things until October.
Yeah.
He's going to
set 15th of August as the date that he officially takes over.
Sorry?
They've already set the date at August 15. that Graham Wright will
Well,
officially
that's
take
right.
over.
That's right.
as the
They
CEO.
did bring it forward to before the season, and I think he'll come in and make some relevant decisions pretty early. He has to make decisions.
What I gathered,
And,
Reece, is that they've effectively got him already, and they have been since December, really analysing the football department, because I mean his past experience is not as a CEO, it's as a general manager of football. Basically, he was the Brad Lloyd at Collingwood and the Brad Lloyd at Hawthorn. Now he's looking at what Brad Lloyd's doing now with a microscope, and he's also talking to all the people in the football department. So really, until August 15, when he officially takes over as a CEO, he's really almost analysing everything like a football manager, like a general manager of footy.
Well, it gives him a couple of weeks to put his feet under the table and then make some hard decisions once that season finishes, because they'll have to be made pretty quickly anyway, and he's got a vast knowledge of what's out there too and Carlton. Carlton are a resource-rich club, so we can go and get people. We can go and get the right people, and I'm sure there's conversations Graham Wright's having now with people that he wants to bring across and get on board, because he's not going to sit back and just wait for things to happen and say, I mean, it's almost like when a coach gets sacked. The worst thing about that is all the players feel pretty safe, because they think the new coach coming in is going to give them an opportunity. And it's a wrong way to be thinking. It's just the wrong way to be thinking. So anyway, we'll wait and see.
Do you think that there's any chance that, despite indicating in that interview with the press the other day that Voss is, yes, he's got a contract for next year, but we're just going to look at the next 8 weeks. So it was almost assured that he's got the next 8 weeks to, coach for his future, basically. Do you think that there's any chance that they might cut that short at any stage in the next 7 weeks?
Voss?
Yeah.
Obviously.
What about another heavy loss to Brisbane? Like, let's just say we lose to Brisbane by another 50, 60 points. How many 50, 60-point drubbings can you tolerate before, as a board, you say, you know what, we're hemorrhaging here. We have to just put in an interim coach and free up the players, because they're just not playing with any spirit or any they're embarrassing the club.
That's something that I think you'd need someone such as a Graham Wright to be talking to a few of the players and find out what's going on here. What is happening. You're not that bad. We've seen you play, and to be perfectly honest, how many kids do we have in that team on the weekend? It was we had quite a few who hadn't played many games.
Good half a dozen.
Yeah. So we've had obviously Harry Mackay out, so is a big loss, especially down that forward line. It leaves Charlie very vulnerable down there, and one out.
So put bloody Lenny in. It's just a
well,
joke.
That's what I can't understand. That's and I think the selection integrity, and we got blokes who just you just say, well, why are they coming back in? Why are they in the team? Why are they in the team? It's a revolving door of
like
these
Blake
same
Acres.
Well, Blake Acres.
What does Fantasia offer the team?
This year he's really struggled. What's happened to him is but he's not the only one.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's you could drop the whole team at this point.
Well, it starts from our skipper.
Yeah.
And I hate to criticise Cripper because he's been a great leader for us for a long time, but geez, he's a shadow of himself at the moment, and we need the Superman bloke who put the cape on last year and dragged us over the line. Where's he? Where's there's so many of them whose performances this year have dropped dramatically from previous seasons. So, and that doesn't help because they're senior players. They're the blokes that the young blokes are looking up to. And if you look at the senior players at Collingwood, they're all putting in. They're all having a crack. You got side bottom. You got Pendlebury and these blokes in their 30s, Jeremy Howe, all contributing week in, week out. So that's we're not getting that at the moment. So we're not getting quality out of our players, and there's got to be reasons for it.
Yeah,
players aren't happy. I don't know.
Thank you again to Daniel. He says trade for honest and tough footballers, which is what David has been on about for probably the last 10 weeks. Probably.
And yet they're out there. So have a look at Brody Mychek, who's playing footy for Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne playing. I think he's playing centre half back at Port Melbourne, and just a tough, hard, straight ahead type player. Have a look at him. They get him in there, get him in the system. We don't get any of them. We don't get any hard, tough footballers. We get these pussycats who bloody, lurk around the sides and looking for an easy kick.
Yeah.
And then we've got blokes.
What does that say about our club's ability to attract anyone decent from another club?
We did attract. We attracted a lot of players, but I just think we at the end of the day, we got the wrong. We only recruited players on well above what they were worth on long-term contracts like McGovern and Martin and Cherrer and Sard and Zach Williams, $900 a year for a halfback flanker. I mean, seriously? I mean, they would never have come unless we came with these big money contracts for multiple years. But then we had
they
that.
Came for the money, Reece. They play like that. They play like they only came for the money.
Well, they did. But you got to. The problem with that is too. If you're going to come across on big money, and I know what it was like when I first went to Carlton, and I wasn't on huge money like they are now or anything, but.
No.
The pressure was on. I mean, I had to produce. You got to produce, and
that message was rammed home pretty early.
I felt that pressure and struggled a bit early days in '85. I really felt the heat on because there were triple premiership players running around the twos, and I'm supposedly this got to. And I got paid well, but and probably more than some of those guys. But you get to a stage where you just have to have pride in your own performance and pride in your ability, and you go back to basics. I mean, I went. We played a Friday night game at and they dropped me. Parko dropped me, and then he rang me on the Friday morning and said, "You're back in." Frank Marcazzani, I think, got pulled up sore or something. He said, "You're back in." I went to the MCG. I think it was a Friday night game, and I would have tackled my own teammates that night. I thought, "Bugger this," and it's a little bit selfish the way you play, but I'm thinking, "Shit," I got to produce and get out there and you go out there with a different mindset, and then. After a bit of time, you win you win over your teammates and your credibility's there, and they have faith in you. They you got to be able to trust each other out there, and that's one of the big things.
These days they stuff up and make mistakes, and then they
high
five each other and tap each other on the bum. I mean, what does that say about the mentality of players these days?
Well, Reece, do you reckon you could pull the boots on again for us?
I'm nearly down to me playing weight at the moment. I'm not far off it. But unfortunately, Joe, I've only got one good punch left in me. I'm saving that. I might need it one day. So
watch out, Greg Williams.
I have a question, David.
Yep.
About when you came across to Carlton. When you came in, what were the standards like compared to Sydney? Was it Sydney?
Well, the first thing to hit me, as I said before, was the expectations. Huge expectations. And you're out there to win. You pull that jumper on, and You know, it's a winning jumper, and you that's what you're there for. You're there to win, and Carlton don't get beat. You know, that was basically, you know, the biggest thing. You didn't get pats on the back when you got beat playing for Carlton. You know, which you did. You know, when you're playing with the Swans sort of thing, and you know, guaranteed there was a big class difference between the teams, but different kettle of fish. It was you go out there, pull that jumper on. That's it. I remember one day, I think Wolsey was coaching. We're down at St Kilda, and he the property stewards wouldn't give us our jumpers before the game. The only one who had a jumper on was Wayne Johnson, and Wolsey sort of, you know, highlighted that he thought he was the only one who bloody deserved it.
Worthy of it.
That deserved to wear it, and said to us, I think it was something along the lines of, you know, we got our jumper about 5 minutes before the game, and something along the lines of, you know, when you feel ready to put that on and honour that jumper, do it and carry it through, you know, and that's how it was, sort of thing. So
yeah. Well, so David, you're going to make a good director of football. We're going to petition for you on Monday, and we'll probably give you double what Diesel's on, because he wouldn't know what he's on, would he? Hasn't he got some mental? Some memory issues or something?
Well, there you go. Why would you appoint a bloke who's got bloody memory issues to run your football, be a football director, eh?
Anyway. We do votes on this show, Sebba. Next year we'll have to get you included, but you can give your votes anyway. Let's go with the votes. Come on.
Yeah, David? I've given 3 to Ollie Hollands. I thought he tried hard all day, and I like the way the kid goes about it. Obviously, he must have, you know, with his brother's issues and so forth, there's a bit of pressure on that young fella, and I like the way he goes about it. Lockie Cowan, I gave him votes because he used the ball well. He used the ball really well, and one of the few who was hitting targets. There's one he come off half back and just a spearing pass, and I'm sort of had to look, and I'm going, Jesus Christ, we haven't done that for 3 or 4 weeks. Adam Cherry, I thought was probably our best player, but he butchered the ball. Butchered it, absolutely butchered it at times. So, and there could have been others who could have snuck in for that one vote, but in a pretty ordinary performance, that's how I saw it. Vince,
I think there'll be a lot of raised eyebrows about that number 1 vote to Adam Cherry. Yeah, look.
He got a lot of the ball, Vince. He did. And that's half the battle, getting the ball. But as I said, he butchered it a bit.
They're your votes, fair enough. I went for Lockie Cowan. I thought he was clearly our most confident, aggressive, and efficient ball user. And for his first game back for quite a few weeks, I thought he was excellent on the half back line. I thought Pitnet battled hard. I thought he did quite well. In fact, I think he was the better of our 2 ruckmen, frankly, and never stopped trying all day. Battled hard against Darcy Cameron from Collingwood, and I thought he did pretty well. And Ollie Hollands, for the same reasons that you gave him 3 votes, I gave him 1 vote. Look, Zach Williams might have been in my 1 vote category, but ended up getting subbed out at 3/4 time, and I thought, well, you haven't played 4 quarters, so you dropped out of my votes. But Ollie Hollands, yet again, never stops running, never stops trying. And they're the sort of players I'm going to be giving votes to while we're playing such insipid football. The only ones that I think are actually out there trying and giving their all for the jumper. There's not too many others that could walk off the ground and say, hey, I really tried out there tonight.
Agreed.
Anyway, I gave Ollie Hollands 3. I thought he was our best player by far. I was really impressed with Lockie Cowan, who came in. I mean, he'd been out for a few weeks. I thought he could be a bit hard nut. He's got a bit of SH1T in him. But needs to probably do it a bit more, but doesn't get any support. That's probably why he doesn't. And like Vince, I thought Mark Pitnet did a good job. I thought he battled hard. The only trouble with Mark Pitnet is I don't think he does enough around the ground for us.
He's not as mobile.
Yeah. Sorry?
He's not as mobile as other ruckmen, but
no.
he's serviceable.
Who would you have given votes to, Sebba?
For me, for what I watched, Ollie Hollands would have been my 3, Cowan 2, and apart from the little brain fade he had in the goal square, Matty Carroll, I really liked the way he went about it. He may not have got a heap of the ball, but I liked the way he went about it. So, yeah, okay. Matty Carroll would have got 1 for me.
So, here is our leaderboard. So, the only change was Chera moved up a vote. So, Hewitt is out front on 47, Cripps 42, Jacob Wiedering 34, Chera 31, and DeConning 28. David, one last question. Paz has asked his father's quite old. He wants to know, he knows you got reported 17 times. Did everyone deserve it?
What's that? Sorry, I missed that. Can you throw that up again?
You got reported 17 times, and his father wants to ask, did every single one of them, did they all deserve getting hit?
Yeah, they all deserved it. Robbie Flower didn't. Actually, I got reported 25 times, so I don't know. Oh, the ones who hit me. Or is that the ones who hit me?
No, it was 25 times reported, but 17 times suspended.
No, I only got found guilty. 11 times.
Really?
Yeah, I was guilty 25 times, but I only got found guilty.
Do you think you were guilty a few more times, David?
Every time, every time, and a few more that they missed. But there's 17 times as a victim too. So I'll tell you, I copped better ones than I ever dished out. But anyway, that was part and parcel of the game back then and the way I played.
And you wouldn't, and we wouldn't have it any other way, David. Neither would you? No,
look, I mean that was the way. I mean, I don't have any regrets. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, but.
And every time we played Collingwood, they show that vision of Dennis Banks giving you a roundhouse right and knocking you out at the MCG.
Bastard.
They show that one. They showed it at the Presidents too. I was sitting there and I said, I guarantee you this is the table I was on. I said, I guarantee this will come up. I get a headache every time I see it, to be honest.
I don't blame you.
So do I. All right, so each week David gives our Spirit of Carlton Award, and this week it goes to, let the drum roll start.
This will be interesting.
I'm going to Charlie Curnow this week, and the reason being, I know he's had a lot of critics recently. Being at the game and just watching him one out down there, I thought he worked bloody hard down there. He tried hard. He had no assistance whatsoever. Basically, one out down there, they were double teaming him. I don't think he'd give up. So, and I think over the last probably month or so, I think, to be perfectly honest, Charlie hasn't been finishing many training sessions at all. So he's carrying something, and to get out and just have a good crack and try hard. I've kudos to him. I thought he was better, much better on Friday night than he was probably in the 4 or 5, 6 weeks beforehand.
Well, there you go.
There wasn't too many choices out there.
Next week.
I would suggest that's another one that's going to raise a few eyebrows.
Thursday night.
Oh, God.
As if you've got nothing better to do on a Thursday night than to watch, the Lions being fed to the Christians, basically, or the Christians being fed to the Lions. That's what this game is. I don't know. What can you say? I mean, I watched Brisbane play yesterday, and they looked pretty.
Do we get anyone back? Is anyone coming back? Harry Mackay coming back, or someone?
No.
They're all about round 20.
Sam Walsh, maybe half a chance.
No, they're all. None of them are back till round 19 or 20.
Yeah, we're in big trouble.
So,
big trouble.
Maybe someone's
their
called
midfield will just
Robinson Cup.
Run over the top.
McCluggage is going to go for hammer and tong at us. Oh, Jesus.
Well, they all will. They all will.
They're
They're gonna. There's got a midfield. They'll just keep rotating them all through there, and they'll just be too quick and too good and too skilled for us. But it might be an opportunity to get it. To turn a few of these kids over and give them a taste of an opportunity again. It's another home game, so be nice to see young Ben Camprioli playing, and also Harry Lemmy. Is anyone listening out there? Harry Lemmy, anyone? Can we?
Don't hold your breath.
Give the bloody kid a game, for God's sake. How did he go this week?
It's
kicked
not
a couple of goals, didn't he? And
2 goals.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yep. I was talking to Martin Stillman, who used to. He was on the table. I was on Friday night, and he was up at Southport, and he said, he was pretty impressed with him. He said he kicked 1 goal from outside 50. He said it was about 55 metres out, went back and went bang straight through. So, why not? Why not? I mean, put it this way, he's not ready, but we're playing players who are never going to be ready. All right, that's how I'll leave that one, because we're playing players at the moment. If we manage to get into a grand final or something in the next 5, 6, 10 years or whatever, they definitely will not be part of it, because they're just not good enough. They're not up to it. And I just want to finish with one other thing that really pissed me off on Friday night. And I've been, he copped a bit of flack early in the season, and then I give him a wrap up for one game. But Motlop celebrating those bloody goals, that just pissed me off. We're getting flogged by bloody, and he's doing these bloody celebrations after kicking a bloody goal.
The first celebration was a to a Liverpool player, but again, read the room.
Yeah.
Read the room.
No, but they don't. They don't. What do they make these things up during the week? And if I kick a goal, I'm going to do this and this and this, and some dance or whatever. It is absolute bullshit. I'll tell you what, if I was coaching, I'd be dragging him off, giving him an earful, and that was crap. That was crap.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. Sorry.
No. So there's not much that we can say about the game. So let's get to the tips. People are going to love this.
44. Yeah. Harry Madden. Oh, look, I might be undercutting the Lions too. They're the reigning premiers, and they may even rest a few players. They may look at it and say, look, we might rest a few players and come down and just win by 5 or 6 goals. So.
I've heard a rumour that they're going to play the AFLW team. It's only a rumour. No,
I'm serious. This time of the year, you really can start managing some of your older players, especially. I think Geelong, going back a few years back, when they won the flag, they did it really well. They really did look after their older players, and there are a few games ahead. I think Collingwood are in that position at the moment. Yep. Brisbane a little bit the same. They could afford to rest a few players playing us this week and still give us a hiding.
Now,
well, Collingwood didn't have the Goey. They didn't have Lockie Schultz. They didn't have Frampton. They didn't have
Steel
side bottom. The list goes on. They didn't have a lot of players either in their side, but it's just a system-based team. It's one soldier out, another one comes in and fills the role, and they do it so well. You've got to admire them for it, as much as you hate to say it. But we don't have that at all.
I just want to say, I can't believe that you guys are so unfaithful that you picked the Lions. At least I've got the heart to pick Carlton. And there's only one reason why.
You're 2 ahead, are you?
I'm getting killed.
We're 3 and 4 ahead.
Just playing catch up.
Okay.
But apparently, according to Michael Voss, we are Marvel Stadium specialists. That's where we play our best football.
Since when?
Yeah,
That's what he said. Well,
we're up against the reigning premiers. Who'll probably they'll go very, very close again this year. They're a very good team.
I think they will. Do you think it'll be 60-0 at halftime again?
We normally start well. No, we normally start well. They won't be that far in front, probably.
The bookie's got the line at 25.5 right now.
25.
Sorry?
The
line?
Got it at 25.5.
That's because they know that we're Marvel Stadium specialists.
Look, the only thing is...
They follow the smart money, Sebba. Bookies know
the only
best.
thing is, we played Friday night, so we get a 6-day break. The Lions played last night, so they come off a 5-day break for this game. So you would think that if they've got a decent enough lead by a three-quarter time, they'll do exactly what Collingwood and Port Adelaide and North Melbourne did. They'll put the queue in the rack, and we might be able to rescue some of that margin back. But I can't see us getting close.
Vince, the Lions could have a 5-hour break and still beat us.
Yeah.
Right?
I've gone for Lions by 48, which is 8 goals. I think they'll outscore us by at least 2 goals a quarter.
Patrick's right. Stick fat. The only good thing about Saturday, when did we play? Friday night? The only good thing about that was some idiot Collingwood supporter put $100,000 on us to lose by 100 or more points. So he lost his bet. Okay. All right. So that brings us to the end of the football part of our show. We've still got a little bit to go, but we now want to let David enjoy the rest of his Sunday night with his family. Have you had dinner yet, David? Or he's
cooked up a pork roast tonight, crackling and so
lovely.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, got that out of the way very early. All right, no worries, guys. All right, well, thanks.
We'll see you next.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We can hope for the best, but miracles do happen. But
not at Carlton.
Not
at Carlton. Not at Carlton.
Stick fat, David.
No,
stick fat.
I'll see you all next week. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you, Dave. Thanks a lot.
Boys.
You guys, little faith. I can't believe it.
Really? Joe, in my 24 years of life, all I've seen is merda. That's all I've seen.
It's going to change, Sebba. It's going to change.
Yeah,
I can
another
feel it.
Years.
I can feel it. Hey, Vince.
I can feel another 100-point loss.
Hey, Vince. Are you
yes,
there?
Joe. Yep.
Oh, you're freezing. There were some other football games. Go for it.
Yes, there were. Thursday night, we saw a very professional Western Bulldogs team eventually take apart North Melbourne on the night of their 100th anniversary. 20 goals, 14. They're very strong in attack, aren't they? 20-14, 134. To North Melbourne, a very respectable losing score, I guess, of 13-785. It's about the only area that the Bulldogs are a little bit vulnerable in is in defence. They do concede quite a few goals, but luckily for them, they make up for it by scoring a hell of a lot more. Then, of course, on the same night we had same night as our game, I should say. On the Friday night, we saw the West Coast Eagles 8-4-52 succumb to GWS, who had their measure all night, 16-15, 111. That was nearly a 10-goal victory.
Can you explain why you would have two games on at the same time?
Ask the AFL. I've given up on them with their fixturing.
Anyway, next.
Then on Saturday, Essendon, they stuck with the Suns for 3 quarters, but then really capitulated in the last 11-8-74. You can see that they're doing a few good things at Essendon, but it's going to take a bit of time to get it to come together. To the Suns, 18-7, 115, and they've regained their place in the 8.
Next.
Then you've got a lay-down misère at Cardinia Park, or what's now called GMHBA Stadium. 18-16, 124. The Cats easily accounting for Richmond 7-10-52 by some 12 goals.
Next.
Last night, we saw the Brisbane Lions in a highly entertaining game at the Gabba. 18 goals, 12, 120 to a pretty plucky Port Adelaide. I thought they put up a pretty good effort for most of the night. They just
Yeah, they're
got
bad
blown away.
kicking.
Second
Their bad
half of
kicking
the first
cost them in the
quarter.
end.
Yeah, but second half of the first quarter, they conceded something like 7 goals in a row. That's where they lost the game. Kicked 14-8, 19-2. So they lost the game by 28 points. But Brisbane, looking good. And then, of course, that night also saw St Kilda and Hawthorn play at Marvel Stadium, and the second game at Marvel Stadium for the day. St Kilda 10-14-74, fairly wasteful. Same amount of scoring shots, but again, their kicking for goal was inaccurate. Hawthorn 14-10-94, a 20-point victory to Hawthorn.
And I'll put St Kilda again. Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right. Today we saw the only result that went against ladder position. So Sydney, whose ladder position was underneath the Fremantle Dockers, ended up beating them at home, 14-10-94. I think they led all day. I think Dockers got close to getting the lead at one stage, but they never got in front. Ended up losing by 11 points, 12-11-83, and that sees the Dockers lose their position in the 8.
And last but not least,
Adelaide Crows got a bit of a scare over there at Adelaide Oval today, especially Melbourne in that. Hang on. What are you doing, Joe?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
What's going on? Oh,
sorry. I was just doing a comment and my mouse has been playing up today, so I've got to go buy a new one. Go for it.
Just making sure everyone's paying attention. We saw Adelaide Crows kick 13-12-90 to defeat Melbourne 11-11-77 by 13 points. But, Melbourne got nearly 5 goals up there at one stage in that second quarter. But Adelaide fought back, and like a good side does, they ended up prevailing.
Sorry about that, boys. And there's the ladder.
Okay, so the ladder sees Collingwood miles ahead on the top of the ladder, 56 points. A percentage that's better than anyone else's as well, 139. 10 points clear of the Brisbane Lions, who are on 46. Adelaide on 44. Geelong on 44. And Hawthorn on 44. So it'll be interesting to see by the end of the season which of those 4 clubs, Brisbane through to Hawthorn, make it through to the top 4. And there's also, of course, a chance that sides like the Western Bulldogs, Gold Coast Suns, and even GWS could get in there if certain results went their way.
They're the ones that I'm thinking.
They are all on 40, the Doggies, the Suns, and the Giants, and they make up the top 8. As I said earlier, Fremantle losing today means that they slip out of the 8. They're also on 40 with a worse percentage than the others. And then really, you'd have to say it's the also-rans, 3 games and percentage behind Fremantle. So really, Fremantle's the only side that could potentially still make the 8. I don't think any of the others realistically are going to do it. Sydney and Port Adelaide are on 7 wins and 9 losses. Mathematically, they still could, but they'd pretty much have to win nearly every game on the run home. Carlton are now on 6 and 10. Essendon's on 6 and 9, because they've played 1 less game. The season's over for positions 12 through to 18 for sure. Melbourne and St Kilda, they both lost. They're still only on 5 wins each. North Melbourne on 4.5 wins. Likely to stay in that position there in 16. 17, Richmond, they've only had the 3 wins. And West Coast, only the single victory over St Kilda. On
it's
4
amazing.
Points at the bottom.
I bet you they wish they'd play Carlton.
I think.
Well, we have beaten them twice this year, funnily enough, Joe. I mean, we've had the softest draw, and yet we're 6 wins and 10 losses. It makes you wonder if we had a tough draw, where we might be.
Imagine we didn't have those. Imagine we didn't have those back-to-back North Melbourne West Coast games at the start of the year.
Well, we lost once to North Melbourne, Sebba. We lost once to them as well.
Imagine we went 0-6. Then it really would have been. He would have been sacked then and there.
Oh yeah. Hey Vince, the crowd has been calling for it. It is now time for. What's this mouse? Big Vincenz's verdict.
I noticed that someone called for some graphics. I think someone called for Sebba to do some graphics during the week because they want this segment renamed to the Volcano.
Yeah, it's like the volcano.
Like the volcano. With
look at the chat. The chat's going mental. Have a look at it. I love it. I'm going to kick my feet up and I'm going to listen to the Vince Kano.
Me too. So Vince, who?
The
and I'm going to do a Caro's arrow. Who have you got in your sight today, Vince?
Well, Joe, I couldn't resist.
And that's all we've got time for tonight. Thank you.
So?
I was joking. I said, well, that's all we've got time for tonight.
No, look.
Go, Vince.
I'm going to call out someone who claims himself to be I guess, a social media guru when it comes to Carlton fan cams and all that sort of stuff. Someone who has a channel that probably has more subscribers than any other Carlton fan channel, as far as I can tell. But what I saw during the week was one of the most piss-weak interviews I've ever seen in my life. If Terry Degani from Blue Aboard reckons that he speaks on behalf of Carlton fans, and that's the best he can serve up when he's given the opportunity to fire some decent, hard questions at the president in a time of crisis at the Carlton Football Club, that softball interview proves one of two things. Either one, he's a sellout and he has been bought off by the club in return for favours like interviews with players, interviews with even the president himself. Or he wasn't told what to say, wasn't told what to ask, was simply given an opportunity off the cuff, and he decided in his own wisdom that he'd go soft on him. Well, either way, that to me was a massively missed opportunity. And I just want to go through some of the questions. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of them, but this is just the first 4 or 5 questions of that interview. I found it hard to watch because of how easy Robert Priestley had it to just spew out his pre-rehearsed lines, everything that the Carlton PR department would have told him to say. The first question. So what has happened and what is happening in your lens? That's the question.
What was it? Sorry, Vince. What
has happened? What has happened and what is happening in your lens? And Priestley goes on to say, well, you know, look, the Carlton community is critically important to us. Rah, rah, rah. You know, I thought I'd take this opportunity to come onto your channel and talk to the Carlton community. I'll tell you why they're all of a sudden talking to the Carlton community, because they are in crisis themselves. They're in panic mode and they can smell a challenge coming. And what they're trying to do is shore up support amongst the Carlton fan base that are stupid enough, dumb enough, ignorant enough, and naive enough to believe all the crap that comes out of the board. As far as I'm concerned, that's the only reason why he did that interview with Terry, to try and get a softball interview out of someone who's got more subscribers and more people watching his channel than anyone else, apparently, and to appeal to all of them. Second question. How do we put a line in the sand and move forward? What is happening? What had happened and what is happening to fix the situation? And then he goes on to say it's not about one person or two people. It's about the collective. Now, this is something I even heard Michael Voss say in last week's press conference, that we're not here to blame any one individual. It's all about the collective. So yet again, same old lines from the club. Why is this? Because they don't want to hold anyone accountable. They don't want to point the finger at anyone who's failing. It's all of this, we're all in it together business. Why? So that no one gets the finger pointed, including the board itself. They're just trying to seek, they're just trying to say, don't blame any individuals or make anyone accountable. The message he tried to project there was we need to build a footy club where everyone is playing their role. It was a piss-weak answer to a piss-weak question. The third thing. Now, this question here was just a mumble-jumble. I swear to you, Kamala Harris would have been proud of the word salad that was the third question. I'm going to try and read. I tried to take it down word for word, but I might have missed out a couple of words here and there. Have a listen to this. I think from my lens, I've always been under the assumption that we've been doing that. I mean, I can only assume that we've been striving to do that. And, you know, I'm generally more of an optimist than most. So I sort of see it for a little bit later than most. So I sort of feel jaded at this point. Okay, so is it about going forward? Who's going to be with us moving forward? On field, off field? I find at times like this, I'm sure you're aware of the rhetoric. Is it this person? Is it that person? Is it the board? Is it, you know, how important is it identifying what the thing is? And do you know? And do you think you have a read on what the thing is? Hello? What was that question? And again, Priestley just takes the opportunity to just put all that behind him and say, look, I see the board's role is creating that overarching environment where we set people up for success. That doesn't just mean having the right people in the right positions, but then really importantly, that we develop those people. Now, what an opportunity to say, well, where has it been happening? You see that that's the board's role. Well, it's not happening. We aren't successful. Where are some hard questions? Where are the questions like, why should we trust you to appoint the next coach if we decide to move on this coach? You've had, as a board, you've been effectively in charge for years and you continue to make poor decisions and ill-informed and ill-conceived appointments that don't end up working out. Why should we trust you and your board? You've been there for 4 years. You might have only been there for 4 or 5 months as president, but you've been on that board for 4 years. Why should we trust you and your board members to make good decisions this time when you've got it wrong for the last 7 coaches?
So, Vince, what questions should he have asked the board? Give us a few.
This is what I expected him to go harder. I expected him to go harder. Personally, I did expect him to go harder on him, which he should have.
One of the things sorry, Vince. Sorry, Vince, to cut you off.
All right,
go on, Sebba.
It was a question. It was a comment in the comment section. Someone just put it up. I think clearly that the interview was like scripted. Personally, and do
you know what? I've actually seen a couple of interviews with Terry or a couple of things where he said, no, nothing was scripted. I asked exactly what I wanted to ask.
Look, and you know what?
He used the word exactly.
I've got more gripes on this towards and you know what? I'm just going to say it, the absolute scumbag president to come out, and he knew what he was fucking doing. He knew what he was doing.
Of course.
No one can tell me, and no one can tell any level-headed Carlton supporter that he didn't know what he was doing, right? Because he's now hearing supporters, whether it's Snapper, whether it's us, whether it's Blue Abroad, whether it's this, he's now hearing it. It's getting through to him because it's getting deeper and deeper. Because you know what's going to happen? It's going to happen. Someone's going to form a fucking ticket and someone's going to spill that fucking board.
That's what I said at the start. He's only doing this because he can smell a challenge coming.
I will fly the flag. I'll go down to the club and fly the fucking flag for him. Because you know what? And to bring up his bullshit fucking stories. I've seen 8 flags. I don't give a fucking shit what you've seen. To be honest. I don't give a fuck if your dad bought you jam donuts only when you've won. I don't give a fuck. I give a fuck about what's happening now. What has turned into all this has turned into is a pure pride parade. I'm sorry. That's what it is. It's all it is social justice agendas. That's all Carlton cares about. And again, I'm all for people being included and inclusivity. I'm all for, you know what I mean? But I'm sick to death of it being pushed down our fucking throats, being told how to respect a woman from football players. I don't need that.
No.
A normal human who grew up in a good household knows how to respect a woman, let alone another person. Don't don't come here with your bullshit orange stuff and your bullshit this and your bullshit that. I don't care. Nor do half of the supporters anymore. I don't know if I'm not trying to speak for anyone, but it's bullshit now. Worry about the fucking ground. Worry about the 24, 23 players that field, because you know what? They don't fucking respect us. They look at us and spit in our faces every week and have done for 16 rounds this year. So you know what?
Vince,
Every bit of berating they cop from now until the end of the season, whatever they've copped, they deserve every single fucking bit of it. Because you know what? They're a disgrace to that jumper. All of them.
Vince, do you think the problem comes?
Well
do you think
said,
the
Sebba.
problem comes? Do you think the problem comes about? And someone said it earlier that people like even us and Terry is not media trained. I mean, I'm going to put but I'm just saying. You put yourself in his spot, right? You know why he's done that interview. You know.
No, he talks on his channel like, oh, the club doesn't like channels like us because we are a voice for the people, and you know, they see us as competition and all. And then he gets an opportunity to talk to the president, and he's like a lame duck. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Let me finish. Let me finish this, and then we can continue talking. Right. One of the other things that Priestley goes on to say, which was a Freudian slip, okay? He started saying, oh, look, all businesses, and then all of a sudden he stopped himself. Then he said, hang on, I should say all football clubs. That was a Freudian slip. They look at this club like it's a business, and I've been saying it for years. They have turned this club from a football club to a corporate club. And like big corporations in today's day and age, they are very conscious of how socially responsible they are and how they're seen to be good corporate citizens with all of these social justice programs. They have turned our club into a woke, weak joke, okay? And I said it on 3AW a week and a half ago, okay? And yes, I agree with some of the messages of these programs, just like Sebba did. But I don't need footballers to tell me on how I should respect women or whatever. But that, you know, anyway, he basically mentioned every business. And I thought that was compelling because I thought he gave himself away when he said that. The next question, what gives you the confidence, you know, in your ability to lead the football club as the president? You know, why is it you? And what do you think you'll bring to the role for the next few years? That's just an invitation to basically, you know, sell himself and his board, which he used. Then there was a question about the fan base and the club. And, you know, we have all this joint accountability and where can we all improve? And Priestley said, oh, yeah, we need to create an environment together where we are supporters of our people. Our members and our community have a critical role to play in that. He basically went on to say that all the criticism of the club is coming from outside the club. He was very conscious of not including Carlton people and Carlton members and Carlton fans. Well, that's tone deaf. What he's trying to say there is get behind us, get behind the players, get behind the coaches, get behind everybody, because no one wants to take responsibility. No one wants to be made accountable. So please just give us all of your support. And we have a responsibility as a fan base to all together get behind everyone at the club. So in other words, we're not interested in your criticism. And it's almost saying that we don't want to hear your criticism. And it's not even acknowledging that Carlton people are highly critical at the moment. So to me, that was tone deaf as well. And the very last question, the hard-hitting question, Sebba, at the end of the interview. So tell us, how did you become a Carlton fan?
Look, I don't look.
Need I say more?
look, this
It was
is
a sell job. It was a selling job. That's all it was. And to me, that was one of the most pathetic interviews from someone who tries to project himself as the voice of the supporters. The supporters are rightfully furious and livid at the moment, lacking any spirit or hope because of the way this team's playing. And that, to me, let Priestley totally off the hook. And he was skillful enough to navigate his way through and basically bring out all of the points that the PR department would have told him to say. Simple as that.
This is my, and again, I don't have an issue with Terry getting the interview and doing the interviews.
No.
To be honest, I don't have any issue with that. I don't. You know what I mean? It's nothing.
He can do his interview how he
whatsoever.
likes, but
No,
don't
I
say
don't-
you're the voice. Look, my point
don't-
is, Sebba, don't tell me you're the voice of the people
Yeah, I know
and
what
give
you're
him a
saying. I know what you're
softball
trying to
interview
say.
like that. That was
I know what you're
crap.
trying to say.
None of this rubbish.
The only gripe I had with it is I wish that he had gone harder on him. I wish
He
that he
doesn't.
had gone harder.
He doesn't.
On him.
He doesn't. Because even when he was asked about it a day or two later, his answer was, I asked exactly what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, I just wish that it was a little bit harder on him because these board members, mate, they need to be held accountable. So do the players, mate. Even some of the interviews that the players get after games during the week, the media people that ask these fucking questions to the players, pardon my French, they're quite possibly some of the weakest questions, right?
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
And you know what? And to be honest, he's very unpopular in the media, but I fucking love him. I love Kane Corns.
Yeah, I like him
He
too.
isn't afraid to say what he wants to say. You know what? And with the Alistair Clarkson, we don't want you in the room. You know what? You need more people like Kane Corns in the media because he's got a set of buddies. Because he cares. You know what I mean? He
doesn't let people off the hook just because they're in a bad mood.
Correct. And this is the thing. Just to circle it back around to us, our team. It's just the shit that they get asked. It's not hard hitting enough. They don't get held accountable, and it's what pisses me off most about them. They don't get held accountable for their actions. It's just I can't do it. And you know what? All of it came to a head at the game, the Collingwood game. Me and Mars, we've never left the game early in our lives, and you know what? That's it. I had enough. Can't be bothered.
Did you see some of the interviews after the Collingwood game, Sebba? Charlie Curnow got interviewed.
No,
Adam
I did not watch one interview.
Charlie Curnow got interviewed on 7. Adam Cerra got interviewed on Foxtel, and they're basically all given the same scripted lines.
Yeah, but
we've got to get back to work.
And you know what?
We've got to get back to work.
Sorry to keep going on and I'm not trying to make it about me here, but it started from round 1 with those hostage Al Qaeda videos when the players were getting put out one by one. It was Cripps, it was Wiedering, it was Jack Silvani. It looked like they were in a hostage video. What are you guys doing? And every single interview, it was the same fucking interview. Just a little bit reworded. That's all it was. Was. So I think that personally, I don't think the club's copped it hard enough. That's my honest opinion. But you people could disagree with me, say I'm a dickhead in the chat. Fair enough. That's your thoughts. That's my thoughts. But I don't think the club has copped it hard enough. Personally,
they've certainly been let off the hook. Anyway,
all right. That's my verdict for the week.
Okay, so Vince, it's now time for Vincenz's bet of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, he's on a roll. 2 in a row.
Hey.
2 in a row.
You know what? Can I tell you something? In my footy tips, I actually tipped all 9 because I thought Sydney would get over Fremantle today. That was the only result I tipped that was against ladder position. I don't think it was a hard week to get 8 or 9, but yeah, we got the bet up, which is good. So our balance goes up to $167.
So people, this week Vince has put this 9-leg multi on, which won't even fit on the screen. So So read it out.
By the
Vince.
way, sorry, Joe, you just put up a comment there. Leave it up for a second. Lana Owens, go away, Lana. Nice to see you, as always. One of our most loyal
Lana,
Carlton
yeah,
people.
she's a goat. She's the goat. We love her.
She mentioned there. You put up the comment. Can you put it back up?
Yeah, which one, Vince? I can't remember.
The one about Snapper. Vince has about the same chance of getting an interview as Snapper. Now,
yeah, it's somewhere. Anyway, go for it.
This is something I wanted to mention as a sort of a side thing to my verdict.
Yeah.
There was an interview done on 3AW, which was put up on social media, with apparently a woman called Mary who's in the cheer squad.
Oh yeah.
That interview just sums up what's wrong with some of our fan base and some of our people in our queer squad. Because as soon as I saw the rainbow colours on the scarf, I thought, yeah, well, she's a member of the Carlton queer squad, and to be having a go at Snapper, and claiming that she speaks for the majority of Carlton supporters is rubbish. Snapper at least has the guts to go on radio and say it as it is, and to call out people who are failing us as a club. And I applaud him for it. He's got the guts to do it. So a big shout out to Jacob Snapper. And this woman, I don't know who she is, but her name's Mary. Oh, for Christ's sake, shut up and keep your opinion to yourself.
Bang!
Ridiculous.
There it goes. Vince, read out your nine leg whatever.
Yes. Now, apparently, Sebba, I went a bit overboard because my bet this week, I might be getting a bit too cocky saying I tipped 9 out of 9 this week, but I'm going for a 9-leg multi in round 18.
That's it. Go for it. Go bang.
So
hang on, Vince. I'll read it out. Oh,
you're going to read it out, are you? All right.
Let me read it out because
these are the round 18 matches. All 9 legs are part of the multi.
Okay. So these are all wins. First leg, Brisbane at $1.30.
And that's against Carlton, of course.
Gold Coast at $2.08.
And that's against Collingwood. I'm tipping that the Gold Coast are going to knock them off.
Western Bulldogs at $1.63.
They're favourites at Marvel Stadium to beat Adelaide. That'll be a great game, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah.
GWS at $2.11.
Yeah, I think they'll beat Geelong up there.
Okay. Essendon at $1.44. They're playing Richmond.
Yeah, I think they're due for a win against the Tigers. Yep.
Hawthorn at $2.04.
Yeah, I think they travel quite well over in Perth, and I don't think Fremantle's got the mental toughness to get over Hawthorn.
Melbourne at $1.23.
Now, this one here is a bit bold. I mean, they're quite hot favourites against the side like North, who knocked them off early this year, but I get the feeling Melbourne, pretty good effort today against Adelaide. They're due to turn the tables against North Melbourne.
St Kilda at $2.26.
Now, that's an upset to beat Sydney at Marvel.
Oh, don't know about that. And the last leg, Port Adelaide at $1.11.
Yeah, well, that should be a very winnable game for Port Adelaide. So
yeah,
who are they
we're going for a little bit of value here.
Who are they playing?
West Coast Eagles.
Thank you. Well, listen. So Vince's bet is $1.30 times $2.08 times $1.63 times $2.11 times $1.44 times $2.04 times $1.23 times $2.26 times $1.11 equals, Vince?
$84.30. So
and
we
you're
get
having how much on it?
Over $84 to 1 if that comes off. We're only going to put the $7. Our balance is $167. Well, we're just going to put the $7 on. So if it loses, we've still got $160 in the bank.
If it wins,
but if it wins, guess what we get back? $590 to add to our 160. So we'll have $750 in the bank if this comes off.
So
it's a bit of a long shot, but who knows?
No, I'll back it. I'll back it in.
Problem with the multis are if one of them doesn't turn out, it's the whole multi's gone.
You haven't missed of late, Vince. So I'm
in good form. I'm in good form.
Yeah, you're in very good form, sir.
We'll see how this
so
one
guys,
goes.
that brings us to the end of the show. So let's just do a little bit of housekeeping. Don't forget, you will find us on Facebook at Blue Sunday, and you'll see us on Facebook at The Jumper Punch. Please like, share, and subscribe. Helps grow the channel and only provides a better product for you. Now, I'm hoping to do this right because I've never put this banner up, but here we go. Don't forget, let me remove that. The end of season live show, 30th of August at Howlers. Special guest is Brad Pierce, and there are more guests coming. And get your tickets.
That's Howlers in Brunswick, Joe.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I was
Howlers
going to
in
say.
Brunswick.
I asked Rocco about it. Where is he? Howlers in Brunswick. It goes from 6 till 11. It's a $69 entry, 8-course roam around food. All drinks will be at bar prices, so I'm sure that's pretty reasonable. You'll get to meet and greet the players. So there's more special guests coming. So put that in your diary. Do yourselves a favour, as Molly Meldrum would say, and get along to the end of season live show.
Yes.
So that brings us to the end. So Vince, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Vince, and behalf of Sebba, we'd like to wish you all a great week. Be safe.
Hang on.
Hope your football teams. No Cheerios, Vince. No Cheerios.
No. There's a couple of very important things. I need to get them off. Joe, I need to do it. Firstly, I'll start off on sad note.
Okay.
Well, I think Sebba mentioned earlier about the tragic loss of the famous soccer player up there who played for Liverpool, the Portuguese player Jota. I think, 2 weeks after he gets married, he's in the car with his brother. They both lost their lives. That's just tragedy.
Nuts.
And look, as an Everton supporter, which is the blue side of Merseyside, if you like, or the blue side of Liverpool, the way they have joined with the Liverpool Football Club in mourning the loss of this player has been nothing but classy, and I commend both football clubs for the way they've gone about that. And also today is the 5th anniversary.
I'm sure his wife is watching the show.
Thanks, Joe. And the other one that's a lot closer to home, especially for Carlton supporters, today is the 5th anniversary of the loss of one of our favourite sons, Carlton Premiership player from 1987. I actually sat with him on the night of that Premiership dinner at the Southern Cross Hotel. I don't know if you remember that. Back in the day, it's of course been pulled down now. But we had the grand final celebration that night after beating Hawthorn in 1987, and I speak of Mark Nailey, who died with brain cancer in 2020 on this day. So it's the 5th anniversary of his loss, and I'll always remember spending that night with him. And he's such a fantastic guy. He was a great guy and
great footballer too.
And he was a great footballer for us. And my thoughts are with his wife Cassie, who would be mourning his loss today. On a brighter note, I'd like to wish a very happy birthday today to Alex Marcoux, former Carlton Premiership player, fantastic guy that he is, always puts a smile on his face. You could be in the worst mood and be having the worst day, and if you come across Alex Marcoux, I guarantee you walk away with a smile on your face. That's how much of a positive influence he is on everyone that meets him. So happy birthday to you, Alex. Will I mention how old he is, Joe, or not?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. He might get upset with you.
Look, I don't think he's that vain. He turned 67 today, so he's still looking fantastic for his age. And also, 67. And guess who turns 50 tomorrow? And we should wish him a happy 50th, regardless of the circumstances that we find ourselves in.
Who?
Michael Voss.
Carlton senior coach Michael Voss turns 50 tomorrow. So hopefully,
happy birthday, Vossy.
Club players do something nice for him, because he'd be feeling pretty ordinary at the moment. And
Well, I
I'm
reckon
sure he would have loved to have
he's ecstatic.
celebrated his 50th with a victory over Collingwood, but
He's going to
Yeah,
really
we
want a
didn't-
happy birthday from us. I'll tell you that.
we didn't get close. So.
And the players.
Anyway, that's it. Man. That's it.
And
That's
the
all.
players. All right. Everyone wants the show to keep going, but unfortunately, I've got to get to the airport. It's called work. So, unfortunately, that's it. So, look, on behalf of Vince, Sebba, who's been really great new addition.
Yeah, been
to the show.
loving having your input, Sebba. It's been fantastic,
Thank
mate.
you. Thank you.
But people
you,
want to know, is the
appreciate it.
pizza ready, and was it a ham and pineapple?
You know
That-
what? Halfway
Was
through
there a
my
beep?
Vince's
It
verdict,
wasn't mine.
halfway
There
through my
wasn't a beep.
Vince's verdict segment, I wanted to come up with some sort of name for Sebba because he basically took over and did a far better job than me.
Sorry, I feel bad. I tried.
No,
I
reckon
just
it
want
was
to say something.
fantastic. It was. I think you want to have your own segment.
Well, that's
No,
what I was going to say. So, Sebba, I'll get your details and we'll talk during the week. So we've got Vince's verdict. Maybe we can have something for Sebba. So if you can, if anyone wants to,
Even in the chat,
put it on
give us
the,
your suggestions. Give us your suggestions on what you think Sebba's
Fuck.
segment can be called. Maybe that's what we
Yeah.
call it, Sebba's segment.
no,
No, we need a better name than that. So come on.
need
Good
something
idea.
catchy. So,
No,
So
love
anyway-
it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
no,
Appreciate
that's
it a lot.
cool. So
We
anyway,
love you,
so
mate. We love you.
on behalf of
Love you too,
everyone
mate.
associated with the show, from our god Rocco, who's been watching the show and sending me text messages. He keeps reminding, don't forget the end of season live show. So don't forget it, people. All the details are in the links below, and we'll put more details. You'll find them at the Jumper Punch and Blue Sunday. And we also would like to thank David Rhys Jones, who kindly gives up his Sunday night, and
Yeah,
we really
Sunday Rhys.
appreciate what he has
Yes,
to
we
say.
do.
So everyone, good night and go the Blues.
Go the Blues.
Go Blues.
What happened here? Ugh.
Fuck yeah.